Hello, hello, MouseHunt. Welcome. It is Feedback Friday. It is January 4, 2019, first Feedback Friday of the year. And similar to last week, just do kind of a more casual sort of Q&A format for Feedback Friday. No, nothing in particular to go over or specific feedback questions to review. But hello, everyone in the chat. Hi there, Robert. Good morning to you as well. KDM, Stejan, Eileen, Ben, Michelle. Happy New Year to you as well, Michelle. Kutufutu, if I'm saying that right, that's a challenge. Hey, Dave. Welcome. Hi to you as well. Daniel, who looks to have a jack-o'-lantern for your display picture there. Hi, Dave. Can I get a shout out? I'm not gonna try to say Iflit. I know I can't pronounce that. There's not enough vowels for me. Happy New Year to you as well, Rob. Discord is lying. It says Dave is playing RuneScape. I think I had that open up on my computer actually. Hi, merely you thought Kutu is enough. All right, good to know. Hello, Potato Duck. Well, today, hopefully everyone's winter hunt is going well. I can kind of, any sort of feedback or last sort of responses, suggestions for the Great Winter Hunt. It's important to note as well, I got up here above me, the Great Winter Hunt will come to an end on January 8th, which is a Tuesday, I think. Let me check the calendar. I'm notorious for getting the day of the week wrong. Yes, it is a Tuesday. So Tuesday, January 8th. At about the same time, Feedback Friday goes live. That's normally when we also do our code pushes and we update the game. So that's kind of roughly when you can expect the Great Winter Hunt to come to an end. And similar to last year, you'll still be able to send out golems. Each hunt will still have your golems coming back with loot. The only significant difference is most of the event mice are going to be gone. Therefore, you can't collect golem parts anymore. So you can kind of have one last week to have all your golems return. Use up as many parts as you can. If you do find yourself with way too many parts, you could smash them into snow to turn them into bells and have your golems come back instantly as well. So you could get rid of most of your parts, all except maybe 3 limbs, a torso and a head or something odd like that. But you should be able to get rid of most of your golem parts. KDM, Happy New Year as well. Oh, that was up in the chat here. I'm doing a bad job of following the chat. Great Winter Hunt, 9 out of 10, slightly too short. Well, good to know. It says sometimes it's tough to get the timing right. We try to balance all the loot drops with how long approximately the event's going to go on. But sometimes the way the calendar is set up, particularly for events, you have to kind of play it by ear when we're going to start and end it. Bloodshot asks, must we hunt at the vacant lot for the 25 hunts to count? I made a note. Here, I'll write that, make sure I have that written down. We'll double check to make sure that it should work, but I'll check. Check that outside vacant lot. I'll just write it down here as well. I'm pretty sure I made a task for myself, but counts for golem progress. Because I believe even while the event's going on, you don't have to hunt at the event location to have golems progress, but you can't see how your golems are doing. You can't get more golem parts. Chip Merkley says, great event this year. Loved every minute of it. Great to hear. What would you like to see different if we repeated the golems or if we did something similar? What do you wish would have been different, or what were your suggestions? How do you think the Great Winter Hunt could have been better? Eileen says, got 12 silvers, a gold, all the things I wanted from the event have moved on now. Very good event. Great to hear that as well. A friend of mine is trying to get all cogs for the temporal dissonance weapon, I think is that acronym. I'm not always great with acronyms. Says Stejan, through golem started yesterday will be quite a challenge. Yeah, definitely a little bit late to try your luck at that. Ben asks, why is 95% of the loot from the Fiery Warpath just flame shards? So that was the same as last year. It was a little bit of a tricky area to come up with rewards for that were balanced, but I think some other hunters had similar feedback, so if we did do something similar next year, maybe the Warpath would need a once-over, or we could brainstorm, maybe add some unique stuff or something. Maybe more use for cookies after getting all the Ellie items, only uses to buy Snowball Charm packs now. Yeah, fair enough. Snowball's charms are kind of the cash out. When we shut down the Cookies will be able to be smashed for charms. Let me make sure I'll write that down as well. Check that. Cookies can be smashed into charms. Keep a little list going here. Michelle's telling me you do need to hunt inside the event area. Okay, I guess it's not a global quest. It must be area specific. So no guarantee there. You may have to still hunt in the vacant lot to progress your golems. It might not be technically possible to sort of overhaul the event to work anywhere. May have unintended side effects. Fiery Warpath loot is kind of meh. I'd prefer to see more charms in the exceptional slots this year instead of only flame shards. Fair enough. Eileen, I had golems out hunted elsewhere and my golems didn't progress. So I guess that is not the case. It is not what we call a global quest. It is area specific, so you must hunt in the area then. Knowing that, it's very unlikely that we'd be able to change it so that hunting outside the vacant lot would advance your golems. It'll probably have to stay that way. It's just a huge last minute change. We'd have to test some stuff to see that, you know, if we switched it to be a global quest, then make sure there's no unintended side effects that would happen to other areas. Can we do a mini version of Christmas this year in July? Well, I don't know, but it's an interesting suggestion. Ian is asking, is it possible to extend the event? Been playing since the start, but only able to get 6. I'm able to get 6 more ice pack pick for the base. Well, we tried to time it out a bit so that doing about 50, 60 hunts a day should be enough to get all the limited edition stuff. But depending on how short you are, I don't know, too much of an extension might not quite do the trick. One challenge with the Great Winter Hunt, with the golems in particular, is that it's very important to get a quick start. So if you kind of start the event late, it's almost, I guess, the way the mechanics work, it's sort of sets you back almost exponentially, or, you know, because the sooner you get some higher level golems, the sooner they start bringing in the shards, and that really starts compounding your progress as you go. So it is something maybe to keep in mind if we do similar mechanics, that it is sort of there's this disadvantage to getting a late start with this particular event. Stejan says, toward next year, golems are great, but after 2 years, the blow up more golem into infinity is getting a bit boring after this long. Yeah, it's fair enough, I think. And we tried to mix up the narrative a little bit to be same but different. So instead of burrowing into the comet, you're blowing up icebergs, but in all fairness, the mechanics were very, very similar. We even got confused a little bit here and there because in the code, things are still referred to as comet layers. So the icebergs, like in the code, all the variable names would be called like comet layer. And we're like, wait, okay, right. So we decided to be thinking in the comet layer mind while we're looking at the code. Running out of winter charms much faster than previous years, says KDM. I don't think we touched too much to do with winter charms. I think even like the gifting schedule was pretty well the same. It could be, I guess it does pick random gifts on 4 or 5 days out of the week, so it may have picked them a little less often. Destin asks, is there a way to view HUD of other areas without traveling to said areas? That has been an idea. It's sitting in the idea bank. Actually, oddly enough, well, not oddly enough, but on a related note, mobile, since it's pretty well the conception of the travel interface, one of these little tabs here was meant to be so you could see the HUD, and even you could be able to scroll it and be able to see the HUD there, but we never quite got around to pulling that off. But that's definitely a great idea. Daniel says, Forgotten Charm is not that much. I'm sad on that too. We did tone down the Forgotten Charms a little bit, so there's mixed feedback. Some hunters loved them, some hunters hated them, so we tried to find a compromise there and meet in the middle. We didn't completely remove them or make them an uncommon reward, but toned them down a little bit and replaced some of the times you got Forgotten Charms with different Labyrinth-related items. Timothy asked for toothlets as marketplace loot. Please, never like smashing a tooth. I don't know what the difference would be. I mean, essentially they are teeth. By making them untradeable, though, it does sort of open us up to, in the future, if we wanted to add ways to get toothlets, and it would be a way to kind of earn them without going through the marketplace. So a little hesitant to make the two tradable. The Snowball Mouse, K&M says the Snowball Mouse should be a random mouse instead of the Snowflake cookie area. It's fun to see how big we could get it. Yeah, it was a little tricky because we had to divvy up all the mice by theme as well, and we're trying to group them together in logical thematic themes while also kind of keeping in line the different sort of mechanics different mice have and the balance of the loot drops. So the snowball mouse, it just thematically fits so well with the snow theme, it ended up in that category. Echo asks, why is Howlite and Bloodstone not available from Fort Rock's golems? It comes down to sometimes we don't do the sort of middle tier items or sort of the end result. Depending on the mechanics of the area, there might be something that it's intended that you have to earn it yourself by doing the adventure to avoid things where you show up and the adventure is done before you take a hunt. So in a similar vein, Notchore. You cannot get Notchore from any of the golems in the Queso Canyon area. And that's just so you don't ever start with a level 10 pump. And similarly in Fort Rocks, somebody doing the golem event, when they go to Fort Rocks, they don't have all the upgrades before they've taken a single hunt. It's just kind of a balance concern. KDM says to put Forgotten Charms on the marketplace. I'm still on board with that. We might do that. I'll write that down. Ben says the first Great Winter Hunt with no snow golems is going to be the Great Winter Hangover. I think golems need to be done now, though. Yeah, we'll see when the next Great Winter Hunt approaches a little bit. We'll see what we want to do. Daniel is seconding the Forgotten Charms on the marketplace. My throat's a little bit dry. You'll have to bear with me. All the cold air is taking its toll. Ryan, Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you. KDM saying that I meant that it's much harder to farm Winter Charms as you have to keep using Pecan and let it snow for progress, and the drop rate for Winter Charm is so low. Okay, I think I follow you there. Where do the Winter Charms only drop when you're using the store-bought cheese? You know, you should be at some point during your farming phase should get some Winter Charms. Chip says, I say the snowball mouse was harder to catch than what I thought. Yeah, definitely if you're seeking out the snowball mouse, you needed to hang the snowball decoration. So it's kind of had to go a little bit, well, not out of your way, but you had to make an effort to be able to attract it, and depending on how your maps and the other cookies you need, you might not want to have that decoration up, so and make it a little less common this year. Motsu Pichu Golem loot, sorry for confusion, maybe 10 Toothless is an exception to loot category. I still don't know if I follow you, Timothy. Stejan says, okay, something I'm actually confused about. Why is Bree String one of the items from the Bristlewoods Rift? There are already a total of 14 items dropping there, assuming TSR, ASR, I don't know those acronyms. I can double check the loot there. Let me see here. Open up the handy 2018 spreadsheet if I can find it. Winter Hunt 2018. Golem rewards. Golem drop tables. This is a big table. This spreadsheet is slow. There's a lot of formulas going on. Whew. There are 503 rows in this table. So Bristlewoods Rift. Bree String was just in, was it in the basic? Yeah, it's a basic item, I think. So there's a 10% chance to find 10 Bree String trees as loot from the Bristlewoods Rift with your golem. 10% chance. So on average, a golem would, well, how many basic slots do you get? 3, I think? So it's 10 times 0.1. 10 times 0.1 times 3. Yeah, so on average, you'd get 3 Bree String trees per golem that you sent there. But it's just in the basic slot. Probably just is a little tricky to come up with other items to create a nice hierarchy where some items are better than others, so probably ended up with just Bree String being one of the basic items from there. Marav is saying, I don't know if this has been asked, but do we need to stay in the vacant lot for the golem to move? Yes, so I was a little bit confused, but other hunters have confirmed that you do need to be in the vacant lot in order for your golems to progress. You cannot leave. Similarly, during the event as well, you need to be in the area to have the golems progress. Happy New Year to you as well, Meriv. Thank you. Stetchen says, time split rune, ancient and runic string cheese. All right, thanks for the acronym update. So I think maybe those were reserved for higher tier slots. So we had ancient string cheese was in the valuable slot instead of the basic. Runic string was also in the valuable slot. And then in the rare or exceptional slot, I think is what it ended up getting called in-game, there were the various tiers of ultimate rift charms. Quantum Quartz was in there at 20%, time split charm, clockwork cog, and a time split rune at a 1%. I think that's 1%. Yep, 1% chance to get a time split rune from the Bristlewood's Rift. So every 100 golems you sent there with one exceptional slot would be one time split rune. I like Destin's comment there. Next year, the golems become sentient and gain freedom. That's actually kind of a very humorous storyline. I like that. They get, you know what, we got tired of hauling out all this loot for you, and now you have to somehow defeat the golems as they're stealing things and taking them out of the kingdom, maybe. Timothy says, when I send a golem to MouseHunt, can Toothlets, maybe 5 or 10, be one of the exceptional? Oh, okay, I follow you there. Actually, that would have been a good idea. Oh, okay, I see now. When you said MP, you meant MouseHunt, and I took that as Marketplace. More acronym confusion. But yeah, actually, that's a good idea for next year. That's a way to, you know, if we do something similar, that's a way to kind of have the teeth item appear a little bit more often, because it is a very minuscule chance to get a tooth from MouseHunt. But a Toothlet could be 10 times less rare, if that makes sense. So that's actually a neat idea. I don't know what that is. Due to rounding, it says 0%, but there should be a less than 1% chance to get a tooth. But it's a rare one. A bit too late to change things for this one, I think, Timothy. But still welcome the feedback, absolutely. It's good things if we do something similar next year, or even just, you know, often it's the feedback that we have in the back of our minds when we approach other content, when we're setting up loot drop tables and different approaches, that sort of thing. KDM gets so many charms from Zokor that I'll probably use sparingly. Ryan's asking for the toboggan race to make a fancy comeback. Something to keep in mind. We'll probably explore it later in the year when the Great Winter Hunt approaches. But excuse me, I'm having some speaking issues, I think. Bloodshot sent 300 golems to MouseHunt, no tooth. It is rather rare. Let me see here if I can do this math. That's up to it's a 1 in 1,200 chance to get a tooth. Yeah, you don't get teeth, basically. But per slot. So, I mean, you know, if you... Oh, wait, no, I'm horrible at math. It is certainly, definitely not that rare. All right, it is a 1 in 1,000. Off by 200. I just did 1 divided by 1,000 on a calculator to see that it was 1/1000th. Yeah, it's okay. That makes sense. Math checks out. So every 1,000 exceptional slots that you come back with, on average, would yield a tooth, but that is definitely on the rare side. What about a Great Winter Hunt Ronza event this July? Interesting little fusion there. Brian expected more crimson cheese from the mausoleum golems, like grilled windmill abdominal from the mountain. Yeah, I forget really even how common that was. It's going to be higher up in the sheet. Oh, mausoleum. The mausoleum had crimson curd, and crimson cheese was 30%, and crimson curd was also 30%. In the one was in the valuable slot, one was in the rare slot. So yeah, it could have been maybe a little bit more, but you know, per slot with some high-level golems, I think you'd still come back. You could still make out with quite a bit of crimson cheese. Michelle, DHA, Dave hates acronyms. To a degree. Hate's a strong word. I don't like to use the word hate too often. But more, I find them confusing at times. If I don't know the acronym, it begs the question of, or the next question will be, what does that acronym mean? Hi from Singapore. Hello, Parks. Thanks for joining us. Aurora Vuitton says, why is Portal Scrambler changed to the valuable slot from the exceptional slot? I think it can appear in both, maybe. Let me see here. Portal Scrambler, Bristlewood's Rift. Where'd you go? I would search to find it, but the search is even slow in the spreadsheet. It's so massive. Every time I would change a number and all the formulas updating would got a little tedious. Bristlewood's Rift, Portal Scrambler. So the Portal Scrambler... Where's the other Portal Scrambler? Yeah, it was moved to the valuable slot. Yeah, I think that was to try to... So the Bristlewood's Rift had the most significant changes, probably, of any drop table, and that was to try to tone down the Ancient and Runic string cheese that you would get as well, because that was a little bit too much last year. So we needed an item to replace anytime you'd get... Well, not any time, but some of the time that you would have gotten Runic or Ancient. Needed something to kind of take that up, but you're very, very likely to get a Portal Scrambler. 70% chance to get a Portal Scrambler in the valuable slot, meaning every golem should come back with one on average. You get 2 valuable slots. So every golem on average comes back with 1.4 Portal Scramblers. If toothlets can be looted, they should get more use outside of the base. That's a fair point, because if they're not tradable and they start adding up in your inventory and you don't have the base, it's a little bit awkward to get rid of them. Whereas the teeth, you can always sell them. So that's a fair point. Golem Season 3 this year to make way for Archduck. Hey, how's it going, my friends? Going well? What's in the cup? Coffee. Which drinking's helping out my slightly dry throat here. Although it was, I don't know if it was because I had an empty stomach, but I find the coffee was mildly nauseous for me, but I'm pulling through. Eileen says, act math. I usually enjoy math, but at my own pace. Usually it falls, one of my duties on MouseHunt is the spreadsheet guy. So I'll do the spreadsheets and get feedback from everybody and set up all the loot drop tables and counter rates, that sort of thing. Calculate how long it takes to do something. Destin says, will we be able to visit the places Aranza went to get her Ellie traps? That's a mystery. I don't think she would ever disclose her sources, or her massive revenue stream could be completely busted. What's coming up after the Great Winter Hunt? Well, we're going to have a little bit of a team meeting probably and assess our roadmap. Event season's going to keep on trucking strong. Next up would be the Lunar New Year event. That's going to be very similar to last year's event, where you have the white and the red candles to do double and triple loot. Probably do something like the balloon again, raising up, just to kind of get a sense of overall progression or a long-term cosmetic reward of some sort. After that, it would be our birthday event, which we still have to do some brainstorming. Suggestions are welcome as well for the birthday event, what we could do there. And then we'll cap things off with the spring egg hunt, and a little bit too soon to get feedback, because we want to get feedback from the rest of the team, but we want to do something a little bit different. Obviously, the eggs would never go away. You'll still be able to collect eggs, but it's definitely one of the older events in the game, and so it might be getting a little bit repetitive, or a way to kind of spice up how you collect eggs. Like if the Winter Hunt is the most OP event in the whole game, the golems are pretty good. They're pretty generous. For the most part, event rewards are roughly based off how long it would take you to earn those items otherwise in their respective areas. So if there was an item that took you 100 hunts to earn on average, by sending out golems, maybe you could average it in 80 or 90. In general for all events. Now the golems are probably a little bit more generous than some of the other events in terms of how much loot you get and how many hunts you put in to obtain the loot. Can we get a Fiery Warpath journal theme? That's certainly a good suggestion. It'd be nice to kind of have a theme for every sort of adventure or storyline in the game. Will there be a King's giveaway before the Lunar New Year event? Asks Bloodshot in the chat. There could be, yeah, if hunters would like to see one. January is probably a good time as well, as we kind of have some other, what's the expression, other irons in the fire, I guess. The King's giveaway is relatively low maintenance, or it's fairly easy to enable. We kind of flip a switch and it's active. When will the goodies, i.e. skins and cheese, such go away from the donation store? So, if I recall correctly here, when we shut down on January 8th, some of the items in the premium shop will be gone, but some will remain. So for that last week of sort of shutdown phase, you'll be able to buy hats, bells. I don't believe cheese or charms, I think, are gone as well. I don't know why I'm looking at that. Let me look, actually. Pretty sure I have a copy of the game running in shutdown mode. Let me see. Yeah. Phase 1 closure. So let me see. Rather than speculate, I shall check for accuracy. Cool, so there's a little final splash page. It's got the advent calendar image there saying make your final golems count. You could still buy hats, bells, the throwable snowball packs will be for sale, the throwable snowballs will be for sale, and the Snowball Showdown dust as well. So no cheese, no charms. What else? The kits won't be there. The New Year's stuff, New Year's charms will be gone, and the skins, I believe, are also gone. So basically, most things will be gone from the premium shop on January 8th, but some things to help you, use up your last golden parts, they'll stick around for one more week. Jonathan says, 2019 Great Winter Hunt, let golems race each other in the toboggans. Actually, we prototyped a area for Varmint Valley, I think. Kevin was actually doing some prototyping for it, of an area where you're doing like a kind of a horse race, or you're betting on which horse would win the race. So maybe we could adapt that idea to be golems, and you're betting on which golem will win a race to go and get some loot or something. Brian says, don't jinx your laptop with coffee. Fair enough, yeah. Definitely, I've only destroyed one laptop with coffee so far in over 10 years, so hopefully that streak doesn't go up to 2. And Daniel is reiterating, coffee should be 3 meters away from the laptop. I couldn't reach it. I think my arm would be, I don't know, 90 centimeters maybe. Brian says, Ronza gets them from the salt mines. That's a good tie in there. Quad candles. I don't think we would do ×4 candles for New Year's. I think triple loot might be the cutoff there. Any Narnia Games Valentine's Mice this Lunar New Year event? Off the top of my head, I don't know. Kind of have to see. Some of those mice, I think some of the winter and summer games, we already have so many events. I think we're kind of toning that down. We might phase out that idea, but then we need to find a way to incorporate those mice into the greater encounter pool. Ronza arrives to celebrate MouseHunt's birthday. Well, she has in the past. She's been around during the birthday, I believe. Eileen says, I never remember from one year to the next, so the events are always a surprise for me. That's good. KDM, I heard the devs don't like the cartoons for spring egg hunt. Oh, cartons for the spring egg hunt. Cartons and cartoons are very similar. Is it just, if you put one more O in the word, it's the word cartoon, isn't it? Yeah, look at that. Yeah, in general, you can let us know your feedback as well. We'll certainly ask for more feedback as the spring egg hunt approaches, but the feedback seemed kind of mixed on cartons, didn't get the greatest reviews from players, and we found them a little bit awkward as well to implement and balance, so they may go into extinction. There may be no cartons this year. Sometimes I think event season is too long. Game can get stale without new areas of progression. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you to an extent. Certainly need more areas and adventures going in the game to kind of give long-term goals. It also helps feed event season as well. So if the event is rewarding items that you use outside the event, so the golems are a perfect example of that. If there aren't more and more challenging areas coming out and higher level areas coming out, then the events get a bit repetitive, or the rewards are less compelling because you've already sort of finished all the adventures. And so, outside of King's Crowns and getting stocked up to do maps and that sort of thing, It's just the rewards are less compelling when you've already completed all the non-event content. But hopefully we can try to get that balance a little bit better. Like I was saying, the winters and summer games, that kind of feed in why we want to phase out those events and focus more on permanent content. Brian says, could we have another mini event blitz in January? Royal Challenge would be fun again. The Royal Challenge took a little bit of time to put together as well, and kind of, again, similar to what we were discussing right before, trying to find a way to focus a little bit more on permanent content. So some of the events, we're trying to look for ways to make them a little bit more reusable, tone them down a little bit, so we can add more higher level areas. Certainly in a spot where there's so many Archduke and above in the game, we definitely need an Archduke area. It's kind of becoming a little bit like we had Year of the Noble. I forget what the rank was. Let me double check here. But we had a whole lot of, maybe it was Duke. Yeah, Year of the Noble would have been before the Labyrinth, I believe. Did the Sunken City come out with that? No, I don't think it did. But we had a lot of Duke level hunters, and we didn't have a Duke level area yet, so that became a priority. And I think we're in a similar spot now. But with even higher level with Archduke and above. Ryan says, can we have a mini event for Queso Canyon? Well, I'll definitely welcome any suggestions. You can hit the ideas and suggestions forum with any thoughts you may have, but we'll keep that in mind as well. Bloodshot, thank you, Dave. Gotta go bye. Well, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Echo asks, can we craft multiple golem parts on the webpage? Rapidly clipping limbs sucks. Yeah, I kind of noticed that as well. So that kind of slipped through the cracks of maybe something that need a little bit more polish for this year. But yeah, it's difficult smashing them and then closing that interface and opening up a different one to buy them, I agree. Will Queso Geyser come out after event season? That's the plan. So probably shortly after, or as part of the closure of the Spring Egg Hunt, or potentially even while the Spring Egg Hunt is going on, it would be nice to release Queso Geyser, and we could add a few eggs there as well to kind of make it exciting to try out that content while the Spring Egg Hunt is going on, seek out some brand new eggs there as well. And hopefully that's the goal if everything comes together well. Viceroy area 2030. Well, yeah, if MouseHunt's going strong in 2030, then we would definitely need a Viceroy area, I would think. Brian is eagerly awaiting the geyser as well. Well, yeah, I'm excited. We'll have a little bit of housekeeping to do, a little bit of planning to do when we resume work on Monday. We'll kind of get the team together, plan out our roadmap a little bit. But once we kind of get in the zone and get things moving along well, I'm excited to kind of sit down and really focus on Queso Geyser. I know Franco's going to kind of take point on doing some of the events, the Lunar New Year event, Spring Egg Hunt, probably the birthday as well. That'll free up some bandwidth so we can hopefully be working on more than one thing at the same time. Also have a new dev joining the team on Wednesday as well. So that was a little bit hectic in December. We're doing job interviews and all that, but while also putting together the Great Winter Hunt. It was a little bit hectic, but we managed to find someone who I think will work out well, and so that's exciting as well. Hopefully that'll help us increase our bandwidth and get more done in the game as well. You'll have to forgive me because I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your name, but you ask any ideas on the rewards for Queso Geyser. Would like to see the return of some physical tactical traps. Feel like they've been neglected since Fiery Warpath and a lot of Shadow Arcane traps lately. Definitely we're putting effort into fleshing out all the power types, tactical and physical. Sort of used to be the other way around. There's tons of those areas and not very many Shadow Arcane, so we've kind of balanced things out a little bit. Queso Geyser is going to be Draconic area, because Draconic, there's pretty well, you go from Dracano to Mausu Pichu, and there's not really much meaningful Draconic content in between, so that'll fill a nice gap. But in terms of rewards, a lot of that I think will come together as we sort of go through the nitty-gritty details of the area. Jonathan says, will the vacant lot be in the ocean, or will the salvage company bring wreckage to the traditional lot? I forget, we were discussing that as well. It was very late in the week before the office closed. Let me double check. I don't remember what we decided on. Let me load up this version of the game again. All right, what do we got here? Travel. So yes, the vacant lot is in fact back to where you'd expect And I think we made a little nod to the narrative saying there's just a tiny little iceberg still floating in that little pond. That's where the Ice Sculptor Mouse has retreated. He's making his last stand on Narnia from the tiny little pond in the vacant lot. That'll be the Ice Sculptor Mouse will be the only event mouse you'll be able to capture in the vacant lot. So every time you blow up all 10 icebergs, you can encounter the Iceberg Sculptor one more time, or several times for each time that you blow up all 10 waves of icebergs. Has a chance to drop golem parts, so it's a way if you're missing just a little bit more animated snow, you might be able to squeak out one more golem part or so. Jan is asking, is it possible, Jan or Jan, forgive me, is it possible for us to store hunts up to 4 where you get one stored hunt every 15 minutes like the old game Leavenlight? Probably not. No, after 10 years, I think it's kind of well established. I don't think we'd make such a fundamental change to how you interact with the game. Ben asks, new guy does feedback Friday next week. Well, probably not. That might be a little bit of a stressful start. KDM is saying, while searching for eggs for Spring Icon Adventures, hunters climbed up the Queso Canyon and found dragon eggs. Have you discovered Queso Geyser? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, dragon eggs would be a nice little tie in there. Will Dragonbane charms be useful in Queso Geyser? Probably. Seems like a safe assumption. How high have mouse hunters been able to level their golems? I haven't checked recently. That is kind of... I know last year Georgia put together a little bit of a retrospective, if that's the word I'm looking for, on the Great Winter Hunt. You ran a few queries to see where the most popular locations were, how high level golems, or how high level some hunters got their golems. My voice is starting to fail. May have to wrap this up soon. Let me see if I still have that. Do I? Yeah. That's interesting little pieces of trivial knowledge here is number of golems by environment. The most popular was Zokor, where there were 835,000 golems, or upwards of, sent there. And then the special event location was in number 2. There were 407,000 golems sent to the Festive Comet itself. That is a good tip as well. If you're kind of struggling to finish up, send your golems there because it'll boost how much Pecan Pecorino you're earning, your winter charms, all that sort of thing. You also get quite a few 2019 charms, but that extra little trickle of Pecan Pecorino might help you collect a few more sugar cookies and finish up if you're struggling. Number 3 was Bristlewood's Rift. What was the least popular area? That might be neat. Nurg Plains, dead last at 1,600 golems. The training grounds, just above 1,600. Those are not popular locations. Acolyte Realm had 100,000 golems. Oh, where'd the stream go? All right, see if I can get through some more comments here. I did make a reward link. I don't know what the trivia question would be, but we'll see when we get there. See what I can make up. Oh, nope, I already covered that. It's okay, Dave. My username was a result of bashing the keyboard. Okay, I wondered. Yeah, I'll just call you. I don't know if that's an I or an F. I'm going to guess an I. It looks like a capital I. I'll just call you IF. If you can be if. Daniel, level 100 rumors. Somebody had a level 100 golem. That would be a very high level golem. Will there be another kingdom hunters can explore? Asks Destin. I think that's a very neat idea. I know we've played around. I know Jacob made a few suggestions about some sort of distant icy kingdom where the queen was living or something. But I think that might have been pre-iceberg, or that might have been a different. Might have been something different there. I can't quite recall, but I remember that suggestion floating around. Daniel can confirm at least level 50 plus. You must have seen somebody with a level 50 golem. That is very high level golem. I have a level 12 and 2 level 10s. And now I'm just sending out my level 12 right now to try to make all of my last parts count. Although I have 6 limbs. Could probably send out a second one and still recoup. Yeah, I farmed some Pecan Pecorino the last couple days, so I got 71 to use up. As a crown hunter, this year's Great Winter Hunt was absolutely awesome for crown hunting, says Ben. Glad to hear it. That was feedback we had before the Great Winter Hunt, while we're still very much so in the design and planning phase. Hunters wanted a way to better target mice, so glad that hit that note well, and the mechanic worked out well for that. There were some other, slightly awkward things as well, like some other hunters pointed out earlier in the stream about the stuck snowball mouse or some of the sort of special mechanic mice, so something we'd have to keep in mind in the future as well. Echo says Zocor, aka the lottery. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, those items take so many hunts on average to earn that the chance of obtaining one from a golem is balanced with that number of hunts in mind. So, every golem is 25 hunts, plus the cheese it takes to obtain a part, but when you're in the thousands and thousands of hunt range, that's a lot of golems on average you'd have to send. But definitely, it is a lottery. It's a "are you feeling lucky" sort of location to send your golem. KDM, just me, are all dying for the Archduke Gary help. Well, we don't want to overhype it either. That's always an issue as well. That kind of years ago, I think that kind of bit us in the behind with the dragon chest, where we had the dragon drop a chest, but didn't say what was in the chest. And then at that point, as the months roll by, nothing can possibly live up to the expectations of what could be in the chest. So we'll keep you in the loop as it comes together. Some guesses for the trivia of 48 and 84 coming up. They gold the crown sculptor, not a surprise. I saw somebody actually on Discords. They got a gold crown on the ice sculptor mouse. That is indeed extremely impressive. I wonder how many catches I had here. Check it out. Winter Hunt. So I built 153 snow golems. Person in first has 1,400. That's a lot. And I caught the ice sculptor mouse 22 times. 2 people have gold crown the ice sculpture. Dean and Herrick. Well, congrats. That is quite the feat for in 1 year. Aurora says somebody reached level 75 yesterday. That's a big golem. Marco asks, why do you think that MouseHunt is not so popular? It is a really great and deep game. Been playing since 2009 and still love it. Glad to hear you've been enjoying it for a decade now. I think it's a little bit niche. It's a little bit hard to get into for sure. It's been a challenge when we look at the very start of the game and we kind of put together a little bit of funnel to see, okay, people make it this far and then so many people make it to this step. But I think it's the 15-minute jump is always been a bit of a challenge for us. And trying to just market the game well to people who are looking for basically an idle game. I put it in MouseHunt into the genre of sort of idle adventuring kind of game, but I think you sort of have to be looking for that thing in order to get why it's neat that you only really have to click a button every 15 minutes or just check in a few times throughout the day. Chia says, hi, any clue on when Ronza's coming next time? Thanks for the event, by the way. Glad you enjoyed the event. No updates on Ronza. She hasn't been in touch with us. Aurora says, will MouseHunt expand into the Chinese market? No specific plans or anything of that nature, I guess. Years ago, I think we worked with a publisher that was in China but didn't quite work out. It was a difficult, maybe, market to break into. Eileen says, passive games snort. Well, every 15 minutes, that's still passive. Ben says, you need a MouseHunt commercial starring, I don't know who that person is. So many people would start playing. 15 minutes are good, says if. There were other games that had reducible hunt time, and you hunt so often, ate up all your free time became unmanageable. I'm 10 minutes behind and seen someone say passive game. That's a good joke. A passive stream if there's a delay. Well, on that note, before my voice gives out, because my throat's feeling a little bit dry, I think, as winter has descended upon us here in the Toronto area, and its icy grips are starting to take a hold of my throat. We will end with a trivia that I have to make up. So let's see. I want to do a little role reversal. Can somebody in the chat think of a trivia question for me? And if I get the answer correct, everyone will get a reward. So make it something easy, I guess. Eileen, always good to see you, Dave. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us as well. Always good to see you, Eileen. Enjoy your weekend as well. Daniel says, not the winter, it's the coffee. Yeah, it's dehydrating, so it could be drying me out potentially. KDM says, what's 1 + 1? Well, something MouseHunt related, perhaps. What was the 09 Great Winter Hunt called? I don't think there was a Great Winter Hunt in 09. I think we just released some elf mice, if I recall. Or 09, that was probably 08. Could have been the 12 Mice of Christmas. To the wiki we go. MouseHunt wiki. To the diligent editors that keep this up to date. Sometimes I'm scared to share, but we use the wiki quite a bit while putting together content when we can't remember something. The timeline page. I love. It's my favorite page on the wiki. December 2009, New Year's Mice are released. Festive Shop opens. Festive Comet crashes into Narnia. We had the Festive Comet in 2009? Wow. Where'd the chat go? Michelle had a question for me. What two things do the acronym Feedback Friday mean? Well, FBF has Feedback Friday. I know we get creative with Jacob Stream saying feedback art, which turns into fart, maybe. Which year was the toy building, says KDM. What was the event idea that founded the idea for MouseHunt? These are tough trivia questions. Should know if you stump me. We share the reward link, and I'd be stumped 4 times here. Oh, 12 days of Christmas, says Brian. So I guess that was 09. I do have memories of doing that. I can remember like going over to my computer, everything was manual, like releasing the mice and stuff. So I can remember throughout the event having to go and even tweaking encounter rates we didn't even have to commit code for, which hindsight was very, very weird. But there'd be a form in the back end, and anytime somebody could just go in and change the encounter rates, should they so desire, that would put them in the database, and all the encounter rates came out of the database instead of in a sort of configuration file that's under source control that we commit. So that was odd, but I remember doing that. Are you the last remaining first batch of games on Facebook? Oh, there must be some other Facebook games that have been around for 10 plus years, I would think. Festive Comet, good times. Well, on that note, we'll put up the reward link. I'll replace... What do we got here? I'll get rid of the Winter Hunt ends soon. Where's that? There it is. And I'll put a reward link there. And I'll paste that in the chat as well. Feed Bake Friday, of course. Fireball Fuel as well, Michelle pointed out. There's quite a few FBF acronyms in the game. Feedback Friday, Feed Bake Friday, Fireball Fuel. That's a good one. My favorite topic, acronyms. Fireball fuel, bro, says Steve. Well, this just goes to show how little, or how few often know, how very little I use acronyms. 2011 was the toy building, says KDM. Was that when Greedy Owl was released? Not sure that link worked. Uh-oh. What did I do? Does it start with a 2Q? 2Q? Should work. Anybody else in the chat, did that link not work for you? Eric wants to give me a heart attack with I got 2 temporal shadow plates from it. Link worked. Thanks for the temporal shadow plate. It worked for me. Who's the real hero here is Red says fireworks, cookies, thanks. Thank you. That's what it should be. Try the other link. You know, the one with the 5 times full Mina teeth. Okay, it must be me. Do you get a journal entry when you claim those links? That's a good question. Oh, where's my journal? I tested it a while ago. Yeah, check your journal. Because, yeah, I clicked it. I got 5 fireworks sugar cookies from Larry the Friendly Knight. So should work. Worked for me, worked for me. Ryan says, ouch, my ears. Maybe it's my CPU fan coming on. Yeah, Ben, worked the second time. All right, well, second time the charm. You can try the link again. It should indeed be 5 fireworks sugar cookies, and you can share the link with a friend to claim some winter charms as well. Speaking of which, I have some gifts. I have some winter charms as gifts I could claim and send right now. Life's good. Wait, you were Larry. That's no. I have to ask Larry for the links. I go in the back, a little admin tool that I can submit a request to Larry, and he hasn't said no yet, but he usually makes the link. Yeah. Copy paste didn't work, but clicking on it did. Okay, that's odd. Maybe you had like an invisible character or something, or a space got copy and pasted as well somehow. Dave, the man, the myth, the pun master. And I think Franco and Giorgio could share the pun master crown title. I think they're usually pretty good at putting those together. Franco does the majority of descriptions and stuff in the game. He's always looking for puns, and alliteration as well is a very common go-to tool in MouseHunt. Any feedback Friday next week? I would believe so. I can't speak whether it'll be myself or Jacob. I'll have to touch base with him when we get back at the office, but I would think it would probably be me to start the year anyway. And maybe we can get some more formalized final Great Winter Hunt closure feedback. Take care, Dave. Thanks for joining us, Destin. Daniel, Dave, is Nani a king? Certainly not. The king is the king. Xavier, it worked. Glad to hear it. Michelle says, thanks for taking time out to do Feedback Friday, Dave. Have a great weekend. Thank you for joining us as well, to both Michelle and Brian as well, helping to pop in to fulfill some moderator duties as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and the tail end of the holidays here. Marco asks, how big is the MouseHunt developer team? We will be 10 now. Doing math here. 4. Yeah, Michelle, and then a new dev makes 10. We should be 10 people devoted to MouseHunt. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. KDM summary. I will leave it in the capable hands of another hunter because I don't have any notes myself. No, I don't. I won't post a summary this week on this sort of spur-of-the-moment informal Q&A version. But maybe someone, maybe a hunter would take it upon themselves. We'll see. Well, on that note, we will wrap things up as we approach an hour mark. That's an impressive length Feedback Friday. Thanks for joining me, hunters. We'll see you next week, either myself or Jacob. Enjoy the remainder of the Great Winter Hunt. Keep in mind, it comes to an end on January 8th, so make sure you check your current stockpile of cookies and hang the right decoration. If there are any sugar cookies you need to wrap up, prioritize those over maps or things like that. Make sure you get those cookies collected. Happy New Year, and we'll see you next Friday.